So today's topic is going to be what is DACA and what are executive orders and why are people so afraid of them? And people are afraid of executive orders because they don't know what they are. A lot of people think that an executive order is something that a president signs in order to make himself more powerful. And that's not really the case. An executive order is often signed by a president because Congress can't get it together enough to accomplish whatever it is that is trying to be accomplished. And the president says, okay, well, since y'all want to act like, toddlers, I'm going to go ahead and just sign this for the time being. A lot of people on both sides of the political spectrum, and all the way in between, think that executive orders are a bad thing. That it's something that shouldn't be signed by a president, or it's okay if the president they voted for signs an executive order, but nobody else should be able to sign one. Conservatives, a lot of them, the Republicans, had a problem with Obama signing executive orders, but they don't have a problem with Trump signing executive orders, and vice versa. A lot of Democrats, or liberals that maybe are not Democrats but still consider themselves liberal, really supported Obama and his executive order signing, but now that Trump is signing executive orders, they're like, oh no, we can't have that. Executive orders are bad. And that is because in our country we have an acceptable level of ignorance that people are allowed, socially allowed to have, and still seem like they're intelligent. And one of those things is not really understanding what an executive order is. An executive order is a directive signed by a president that to some extent carries the same weight as a law that is passed by Congress, only instead of Congress having to be the ones to pass it, it is signed by a president. There are plenty of examples of executive orders throughout history. In fact, there has only been one president in our history who did not sign an executive order. And I believe that was William Henry Harrison, if I'm not mistaken. Every other president in history, in the history of our country, has signed executive orders. The president who signed the most executive orders, anyone want to take a guess? Because I guarantee you'll probably guess wrong. It's not Obama, nor is it Trump, nor will it probably be Trump. It was actually Roosevelt, who signed over 3,000 executive orders during his presidential terms. This is not a new concept that has been introduced recently. This is something that's been around for a long time. Some executive orders have been really beneficial to society. The Emancipation Proclamation was actually an executive order signed by President Lincoln. It was not actually turned into a law until constitutional amendments were added, guaranteeing anybody that was born in this country citizenship, and that included slaves or former slaves. And those people then got the right to vote, and the rest is history. But without that executive order, without the ability of a president to sign an executive order, it would have been years before the slaves gained their freedom through law, because it takes Congress so long to do anything. Which takes us back to what is DACA and what are dreamers? What is this executive order mess that's going on right now that deals with illegal immigrants? And DACA is something that was pushed through by the Obama administration that was originally intended to give people who are illegal immigrants in this country an additional time period in which they could start the citizenship process. And if they made attempts to become citizens, they would be granted their citizenship or amnesty despite coming here illegally, and they would get to just become citizens. Okay, well, Obama took it a step further, and he decided that they didn't really have to start the process of becoming a citizen. If they were already here and had been here for a while, they should just get amnesty. And that did sort of anger people actually on both sides. There were a lot of Democrats that weren't okay with that either. But a lot of people just kind of were like, okay, whatever, and then he took it a step further, which actually got him in trouble legally. He extended that to, well, you know what, why don't we just let everybody that's here right now become a citizen, whether they're here legally, illegally, whether they've been here for 25 years, whether they've been here for 25 minutes, it doesn't matter. And he was actually sued by, well, not him specifically, but his administration was sued by several states because they felt that he was now overstepping the bounds that the Constitution sets for the executive branch of the government, even though he did have the power to sign executive orders. So what Trump has done is he has taken away that executive order for DACA. And the Dreamers, who are people who were brought here by their parents as illegal immigrants, but they were children at the time and didn't really have a say in it, and they've been here for, a while, and they have gone to school here, they're members of society here, and they just don't have legal immigration status. And this is, this act, the DREAM Act, which was actually introduced in 2001 originally, is intended to help them to become citizens of this country. Well, Trump has rescinded the executive order because he's looking to the future and saying, you know what? If we had left slavery, freeing the slaves as something that was only an executive order and we did not make that a law, that could have ended very badly for those people, because all it would have taken is one overzealous president to come in and say, that's it. The executive order's gone. We have slaves again, and there's no law protecting these people. That's it. And the same thing could happen to the Dreamers, potentially. If Trump were to just ignore the executive order and leave it alone, one day down the road, someone could come to power and overturn that, and those people would lose any kind of amnesty that maybe not, they wouldn't lose it, but anybody else that should be eligible for that under that executive order would lose their ability to have that eligibility. So what Trump is trying to do is make the DREAM Act and DACA into law. And he has given Congress a certain amount of time in which to talk it out amongst themselves. But as we discussed yesterday, Congress doesn't want to do any of that. They want to just get their way, and that's it. So until Congress gets their act together, it's going to continue to be a process of, should it be an executive order or should it be a law? And so the point of all this is, don't be part of the blissfully ignorant group of people in this country. Think for yourself, do your research, educate yourself, and learn what terms mean in our government before you get all bent out of shape about them. Executive orders and DACA, great fun for all.